Today, I'll give you a quick overview of the things that we're going to do. We'll lay a foundation. We'll lay a foundation of what it means to be a woman. First of all, you're a child of God. You're a woman of God. You're a mother. You're a servant. And we're going to look at all those things a little bit more to really lay the foundation. And then after lunch, we'll go into how is it that even though I know I'm all these things, that in my life, sometimes it doesn't always look like that. Sometimes it's hard to be the woman of God that I want to be, or to make the choices that I know are good and right for me. It's sometimes easy to know that, I should choose this. I should be on time for church, or I should be kind and patient with my child. I should honor my husband, but not so easy. It's not so easily done as it is said. And we'll look at what this transformation will take, how we can more actively get from this is who I know I am to this is how it's going to look like in my life and how I can get there faster. But that'll be after lunch. Right now, we start with the foundations. And like Pastor was saying earlier, the lack of knowledge is often at the root of it if we don't know. Where there's no vision, the people will perish. In Proverbs 29:18, it says, where there's no vision, the people will perish. But he that keepeth the law, happy is he. A servant will not be corrected by words, for though he understand, he will not answer. And that's kind of and I know Maria was talking about that, if you're a servant, then you don't understand, but we're not servants anymore, as in we are children of God. And we can understand, we can have vision, we can have knowledge that will educate us, and that has the promise of happiness in it as well. So that's always a nice one, knowing that. Who are you as a child of God? Any words come to mind? Since there's only so few of us, I'm going to make this interactive to kind of keep you awake. So I'm not just talking. A child of God, what do you remember? What does that mean? What words come to mind? Anything. Shout it out. Gift. Do you have an idea?
To be a child of God, it shows your attitude.
Attitude, yes.
Towards God and the church. Your heart.
In your heart, yeah. Attitude, how you feel in your heart. What else does it mean to be a child of God? And he said, to be born again. Have God as your Savior, yes. That would be how it looks like then, yes. Yeah, the way you dress will be respectful, will be you're a new creation, you're born again, you're holy, you're perfect. Did you know that God sees you as perfect, as holy? That's who you are right now. As you get saved, the slate is wiped clean and you are holy. You are redeemed. You are perfect in his eyes. In John 1:12, yet to all who did receive him, to those who believed in his name, he gave the right to become children of God. We are children of God. And then 1 Peter 1:16, for it is written, be holy because I am holy. He sees us as holy. That's who we are in our being now. Now, does our life always look like that? That's what we're striving towards. That's what discipleship is going towards. But God sees us as that. Now, if I think of children, let's make it practical. If I think of my children, and I have 5 of them, or if I think of myself as a child, I know I'm taken care of. Do you take care of your children as much as you can? You feed them, you love them, you correct them, you encourage them, you see them for who they are, you speak kindly to them, you protect them over all costs. So let's say someone comes home from school and there was a fight and they're crying. What do you do? What do you do? What's your first thing that you do? Ignore them? Say, well, too bad. No, you comfort. You speak kind words. You get a little upset at the person that did that to your child, maybe. Your mama bear might be coming out. If it's really serious, you go to school and take care of it. If it's not so serious, then you deal with it with your child. But you protect, right? That's what it means to be a child of God. You are protected. You are loved. You are seen. You are encouraged. You're consoled when you're sad. So let's say your kid is being a little extra active and jumps around, falls, gets hurt. Do you ridicule your child? Do you say, well, you're dumb? Or do you go and comfort? Maybe a little bit of both sometimes. But first comfort. And then correction, right? First you make sure that your child is okay. And then you teach them how to properly do it. You don't make them feel bad. At least not intentionally. You're not mean to your child. God is not mean to us. That's what it means to be a child of God. Even if we mess up, He's there to comfort, to hold, to guide, and then to correct so it doesn't happen again. So we as women, first and foremost, we're children. We're the child of God. We can identify as that most and foremost. And as women and as mothers, we know what it is to be a child. But what else are you? You are a woman. And being a woman is a whole another universe. Women facilitate creation. Life comes through us. I mean, we don't make it happen, but it's only us who can give life. And most of you have given life, and what a privilege to have been in that role. But women do that all over the place. We multiply. Do you know how we multiply? Let's say you go shopping, and you bring home food. Do you know how you multiply that? You make a meal. Food is food, but a meal means someone is nourished. A meal means family can gather. A meal means community. A meal means so much more than just the salad or the meat or the rice that you brought home, right? Does that make sense? Women multiply. Let's say there is a structure and it has 4 walls and a covering on top and a little door in the middle and maybe a window. It's a structure, right? It's a house. What does a woman make out of it? A home. A woman can turn a house into a home, a place where it's safe to come home to, a place where people feel protected, where people feel seen, where people feel safe. Women are multipliers. We take something and make something completely different out of it. We multiply. And it's fascinating that we can do that. Let's take it to church. You are sitting here as a person. You're an attendee. But what would it mean if we took all the women out of church? Would it be the same church? No. And I think this church is a very good example. We have very strong women in this church. Very strong women. And without you, without us as women, this church would be different. We have our place here as women, not just as someone sitting in the pew. We are multipliers. So look for the opportunities to take something and make more out of it just because of who you are. We don't even have to try. I mean, there might be different levels of, I make a simple meal, you'll see it later, it's very simple. And some people are culinary artists. They create, but it's still a meal. We still multiply. So there might be varying levels, but we're still multipliers. Women are, many of us, not all of us, but many of us are wives. Who are you as a wife? What does a wife under the Lord mean? Words, ideas. Give me something that comes to mind. Love it. Do you have an idea? Can you speak? Do you have a voice?
The wife is an assistant to the husband and the mother to children.
And it's,
Step out of the house. Make of the family.
yeah. He's a helpmate. She's a helpmate. She's a helper. Yeah, what else?
A wife is to build a home, to protect the family, and to make peace in the house, and to be encouraged to the husband. And a wife is the prayer warrior in the house.
The prayer warrior. Yeah. And what else did you say? You said the encourager. You said the protector. Anything else come to mind? It's a big role. It's a big deal. You're not, okay, here's somewhere else where we multiply. We multiply everything. So if your husband gives you affection, your affection grows, doesn't it? It multiplies. Works the other way around too. If you get aggravated by your husband, what would be your first thing to multiply is? Aggravation and bickering back. We multiply. We can control that, but the natural flow is we multiply. So take away the wife out of the house, take away the homemaker, take away the encourager, take away the prayer warrior. What's left? It's it's hardly a family anymore. It's harder. Am I saying that if there's no woman in the house, there can't be a happy home? No, that's not what I'm saying. But as you, as a wife that is here, and that is your role, you have a powerful, powerful place in your family. I want you to hear that. I want you to understand that the wife in the house holds so much strength, so much influence, so much power over your family. Because you're a multiplier, because you're a child of God, because you're a helpmate, because of who God called you to be. Very powerful, very strong, something to be taken very, very seriously, and something to step into. You can play around with it, or you can claim that role. You can say, yes, that is me. I am the encourager. I am the prayer warrior, and knowing that's who you are. Because you know what that does? It encourages your husband to step up. Because they're meant to be the ruler of the household. So if you step up and be who you are, they can be who they are. Requires you to be you. But we're not here to talk about husbands and what they do and what they don't do. But for you to know the role of the wife in the house, huge. Very powerful. Yes, we are a gift to our husband. He who finds a wife, that is good, and he receives favor from the Lord. You can read that in Proverbs 18:22. I think I typed that up wrong. Let me just go there to read it. Proverbs 18:22. He who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord. What a promise. What a promise. You were found by your husbands. And if you're a good wife, meaning if you step into being that multiplier, if you step into being that child of God, did you find it? Proverbs 18:22. God puts favor on that. God blesses that. And who doesn't want the favor of the Lord? Having the favor of the most powerful, the I am. It's good. Life's good. We're settled. We can go home now. Because if God's for us, who can be against us? If we have the favor of the Lord, what else is there to worry about? Nothing. If we have the favor of the Lord, it's all good. And he puts that promise. He puts that, God makes that promise. He who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord. You are a gift. You are a gift to your family. I love that you call yourself gift. It is the essence of that. And I want you to really grasp that yes, you're powerful. Yes, you have all these roles as a child of God, as a woman of God, as a wife, and oh boy, all the jobs that come with it. But you're a gift. You're a gift to your family. Do you have to do anything to be a gift? Yes? No? No. You're a gift. You don't have to do anything. You're a gift. You're a blessing just because. When you receive a gift, and you've received many lately, but if you receive a gift, even without knowing what it is, let's say it's a wrapped box. Someone comes, gives you a gift. It's a wrapped box. You don't know what it is. How does it make you feel? Happy, sad, excited, angry? Give me some feedback. How does it make you feel to receive a gift? Very happy, right? It's a good thing. Why is it a good thing? Because someone thought of you. Someone went out of their way to think of something, to get it, to wrap it, to remember to bring it, to give it to you. A gift is a cool thing. Now you open that box, and it's something really special. Something that you'd wanted, something that really shows that that other person thought of you, they know you, they understand who you are, they understand what you wanted, they understood what would make you specifically happy. So for my daughter here, if I wrap something up in a big box and she opens it and it has sticky notes in it, she'd be very happy. I don't know if you would be so happy with sticky notes, but that person, very happy. Because I know her. I can make her happy with that. So if you receive a gift that makes you happy, not just for receiving it, but when you open it and it still makes you happy or even happier, it's because you were seen. It's because you received something from someone who knows you. Now imagine you are that gift. You are in your person. You have the ability to make someone happy. Just for who you are, because you're a gift. And then once it's opened up, it brings even greater joy. That's what women are. That's what it means to be a wife. You're a gift. And it's something I want you to hear. and really, really claim for yourself. It is, you are a wonderful being just because. And God made a promise that he would favor your husband, which means your whole family and you, because you're a gift. Truly incredible, truly incredible. See, God said, it's not good for the man to be alone. I will make a helper suitable for him. We've heard that a lot, right? Helper suitable for him. That can feel kind of like I'm a maid. You know, I make the food, I make the bed, I wash the clothes, I'm helping. Doesn't feel so great. I mean, it's good. We're able to do that. And it's nice when it's all done. But God really meant you're a gift. And this gift is the helpmate to it. There's this weird verse in 1 Peter. 1 Peter 3:7, if you want to read it with me. 1 Peter 3:7. And it talks to the husbands here, but I think it has a good point for us that I want to point out to you. 1 Peter 3:7, it says, husbands, in the same way, be considerate as you live with your wives and treat them with respect as the weaker partner and as heirs with you of the gracious gift of life, so that nothing will hinder your prayers. And I always thought, what in the world? I mean, as the weaker partner. We've just heard how powerful women are. We're multipliers, we're children of God, we're gifts. What in the world does it mean to be weaker? 1 Peter 3:7. Are you weaker than your husband? Not really, right? I mean, maybe they're stronger. Some of our husbands are, like my husband's pretty strong. He's stronger than me. Yeah, definitely. Is that what it's talking about here, though? The weaker partner? I don't know if God really meant to talk about how many pounds we can lift. Are you a weaker person? Are women weaker than men? It doesn't feel right, right? We were just talking about how powerful we are. So what in the world does this mean? It always irked me. You know, I like the husbands be considerate of your wives. Yes, that's good advice. I like that's in the Bible. Treat them with respect. Yes, I like that too. I think we all should treat each other with respect, especially us to our men. They need a lot of respect. It means a whole lot of different world to them than it means to us. They need our respect, for sure. But respect you as the weaker partner. So I want to shine a different light on it. It actually doesn't come from me. It came from my father-in-law. When Sam and I first got married, he was counseling us because my father-in-law was a pastor at that time. And he's saying, weaker doesn't mean like it's, you know, how it feels at first, that like you're weak and kind of, It means he compared it to men are Tupperware. Do you know what Tupperware is? You know, the plastic stuff that we put our food in when we transport it so it doesn't break? Women are the glass vase. The pretty glass vase that you put flowers in, that you put in the middle of your table because it's so pretty. Is it weaker? It's more delicate. I can throw Tupperware around. Nothing's going to happen, other than the food inside maybe going all over the place. But the Tupperware is going to be okay. The vase, can I throw the vase around? No. You are not weaker as worthless. You are a vase. You are a precious vessel, a container. So as that vase, that crystal vase, God encourages and admonishes the husbands to be considerate as they live with you. You know that with your children, when you have something pretty on the table, they can't be running around like crazy, right? You make them stop. You make them be careful. That's what God is saying here to the husbands. Be considerate as you live with your wives. Treat them with respect because they are a precious glass vase. They are also heirs of the gracious gift of life, just like they are. We are children of God. Kind of what Pastor was saying earlier. We have the inheritance of the Lord. We are a gracious gift. We get to have the gracious gift of life. And if that dynamic happens at home, where we respect our husbands, where they treat us with the respect as a weaker partner, as a precious precious vase, there you go, then we can talk. We can talk with each other, and we can pray together. You know it's hard to pray with your husband when you're bickering. It's not going to happen. I mean, not honestly. You might be able to say words, but it's not really heartfelt. But if there's that respect, and if you know that you are that vase and you're being seen and treated like that, the prayers that you can have together are going through the roof. There's nothing that can stop you. Where 2 or 3 gathered, there's 2 of you. Your prayers will be powerful. Could you start on that? How does that make you feel about being a wife? Being a Christian wife? Being in a relationship with someone that also knows the Lord? That is why it's good to be equally yoked. That is why it's good to have a husband who's a believer. Because these dynamics, they don't happen easily, period. They don't happen in our lives just because we say, oh, I believe in God. Something that we have to work on, something that we have to recognize. But boy, is it infinitely harder when you have someone who does not even understand the Lord. Does it make sense? So, we had, who are you as a woman? You are a woman of God, a powerful being that multiplies. You are a child of God that is protected, that is loved, that is seen, that is encouraged. You're a wife of God, who's a helpmate, who's an encourager, who's basically keeping the house together, the home together. I mean, let's face it, if we are that wife, that's what we can do. We are the weaker vessel. We are that precious vase. And I want you to see yourself as that. Now, when you think of that crystal vase, that requires special care. Probably has a special place in a cupboard. Gets taken out. When you clean it, you need to clean it because it looks... The pretty flowers don't look as pretty when the vase is really ugly or really dirty. So you clean the vase so the flowers can be prettier, right? It's kind of how we can treat ourselves. We are that weaker vessel. We take good care of it. And it goes back to what you said, how you clothe yourself as a child of God. It's because you take care of you, because you understand you are that precious crystal vase. Make sense? And we are mothers. What a unique role to have in this world. So half of them are not mothers because they're men, so they're out. Then there's a lot of children, they're not mothers. Then there's a lot of people who choose not to have children. I can't speak for the African continent there, but definitely in the Western world, there's a lot more people who choose to not have children. But we are mothers. We know what it means to carry life inside of us, to care, to love, to worry, to birth, to grow and nurture that child, to let them make mistakes, to let them walk off. We get the joy of seeing them develop. Some of you have older kids already. the joy of seeing what they become and who they are, and then you let them go and have a piece of your heart wandering around in the world. Being a mother, for me, has changed my relationship to God, because if I, as a human being, can care so deeply and so unconditionally for another human being, how much more does God care for me? If I, in my faultiness, in my reaction, can love someone so much and not care what they do, I mean, maybe get aggravated, right? We all get annoyed and maybe, but in the end, it doesn't matter. They're still your child. You still love them. You still would open the door to come, that they would come back to you no matter what they've done, because you are their mom. And there's no one in this world who will ever be that person's mom, who will ever see them the same way, who will ever love them the same way. And if I can do that to my child, how much more does God love me? No matter what I do, no matter how much I mess up, no matter how far away I've walked. Being a mom is an incredible gift. An incredible gift to show, first of all, for us, right? To learn what it means to be loved by God, but also to show the world. First of all, you show your children, because they don't understand the concept of God. Like, you can talk to them about God, and that's a good thing. But what they know is whether they're loved by you. And you are the first person to teach your little ones what it means to be loved, what it means to be accepted, what it means to mess up and be corrected and still come back into the fold of love. You are the representation of God. As we are made in the image of God, that's what your children see. No one else can do that. Fathers do it in their own way. They have their own role to play. But a mother's love, and you know that a mother's love is a whole different dynamic than a father's love. Fathers love fiercely. But we're not talking about fathers today. We're talking about us as mothers of God. So know that you are the representation of God's love to your children. You are the first touch point for them to know what it means to be loved. Now that goes the other way around too when we grow up, and I'll go a little bit more into that after lunch. We might not know what it is to be loved by a mom. Not all families are perfect. Some are actually really horrible. And we grow up with that hole of knowing I know I should be loved, but I didn't experience that. And it messes us up. If we don't experience that love from an early age, it makes life very difficult. It makes life very difficult for us personally, and you can sometimes see it in other people or in other children. You can see it in children when they're not in a home that is safe and protected and where there's a lot of love. You can see it in them. There's a lot of acting out. There's a lot of choosing the wrong way to go, a lot of wrong choices, a lot of anger. If that's not there, if that love is not there from the very get-go, man, it does something to us. And since we're all people, we all mess up. My mom has messed up, and I know I have not been a perfect mom. None of us are. God sees us as perfect because we're redeemed, but our actions are not 100% perfect. So, we do mess up. And our kids have the opportunity to, in that moment, turn to God themselves and get the healing that they need. But as mothers, we have the opportunity to be the first touch point they have with God, knowing what it means to be loved, knowing what it means to be cared for, knowing what it means to be protected, because that's what it is to be a child of God. And that's what we're teaching them when they're really little, especially when they're wild, especially when they're annoying, especially when they mess up. That's where you pour in your love. That's where you pour in your kindness. That's where you draw the boundaries around them and say, you need to go this way. Always in love. So know that being a mother, hugely influential and very, very precious, because not everybody gets to be that. And not everybody gets to do it as a conduit. As you receive from God, you can pour it out. How many people do you know that don't know God? That can't receive to give back. They have to pour out from themselves. And whatever was in there comes out. And it's even less than when we've received the Lord and have received healing and know what it means to be loved by a God unconditionally. Does that make sense? So no, just being a mother is amazing. One last point before we break for a quick lunch. We are also servants. And here we are talking about we are servants, because children of God are servants. What comes to mind when you hear servants? Give me some words. Help. What else?
Obey.
You obey. Mm-hmm. So on a scale from 1 to 10, where 10 is like, it's super fun and amazing, and 1 is like, it's kind of hard. If you hear the word servants on that scale, where does it land? 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 10, 9, 10. Is it a positive word or a negative word? What do you think? First reaction when you first hear it. Negative. Doesn't feel so good, huh? Great, here I am, the woman of God, and I'm strong and powerful, and I'm a mom, and I get to represent God, but I'm also a servant. But you know what? It's not. It's not. It doesn't have to be. Yes, it has to be to do with obedience. Yes, it has to do with help. Let's see, how can I put that best? When my children come to hug me, my first thing, I like being hugged. So I'm a hugger. I like being hugged. I like physical touch. And I'm happy and I want to hug back, right? When my husband does something very nice for me, my first reaction is, a thank you, and it makes me happy. And it makes me want to give back, right? It's very easy to give back to someone who's kind to you. If you have a good friend, maybe, and you're doing things together, they know you and they're kind to you, and then they need a favor, how hard is it to give back? Not hard, right? It's easy to go over. Now, if it's the neighbor who's always annoying you and who is talking badly about you, and then they ask you for a favor, hard, or not at all, right? Now here we're talking, we're servants to God. God is kind. God has your best interest. God is wonderful. How hard is it to give back? Shouldn't be so hard if we are doing it as a thank you to what He's done for us. If you're doing it out of obligation, because we think we have to, that's hard. Doing something because you think you have to, that's hard. That's not fun, usually. Doing things you have to are like, okay, I'll do it, because you have to. But doing it because you want to show someone that you care, that's easier. That's a servant of God. Sometimes being a servant is a sacrifice, because it requires a choice. Let's say it requires your time. So you're here. You're spending your time, you're spending this afternoon here. And you had to organize childcare, you had to talk to your husbands or to whoever else. Hey, can you please watch my kids? You had to make your way here. That's a sacrifice. That's cost you time. Maybe it cost you work time, other things you could have done. So being a servant can be a sacrifice because you know what you want to do, the right things. And if you say yes to some things, like saying yes to this, for example, that means you say no to other things. It means saying no to staying in bed when you're really not feeling well. It means saying no to showing up to work on time. It might mean saying no to your children who are watching your younger children, that they can't do whatever they want. So every yes usually comes with a no. But start with a yes. What are you saying yes to? When we are as servants of God, He has so many things that we are able to do and that we get to say yes to. Being a servant means saying yes to what God has called you to. It says yes to I'm grateful. It's a yes to thanksgiving. It's a yes to your calling. Do you know what you're called to? Calling is always such a big word, you know, like when I hear calling, I'm thinking of the prophet who runs a huge conference and that's their calling. Like Pastor Stephen, that's his calling, right? He's a pastor. That's a calling. And I mean, most of us are not pastors. But we all have a gift to give. We're all part of one body. And we all have a part to play. So there's the ones that we see easily, people singing, for example. That's a gift. But we all have something that we can contribute. And being a servant means we're looking for that thing that we're good at and that we can give to others. Let's talk church, because that's easy because we're all here. Church is easy to find what you're good at giving. So there's the pastor, very easy. There's worship. Can you sing? Doesn't mean you have to lead, but maybe can you sing? But there's also the things in the background. There's the cleaning the church. There's the showing up consistently. Last Sunday, you guys were all here, right? Was it fun? It was. To me, it felt like a celebration. You know why? Because there were so many of us, and there were men and women, and everybody was there, and everybody was present, and everybody participated, and everybody sang, and it was fun. It was just fun. Just you showing up on time, being here, and giving your all in worship, and sitting, and listening, and participating. Huge gift. Okay, I'm standing here, and I'm presenting words. If most of you were looking at your phones right now because you're bored with what I'm saying, it'd be very hard, which none of you are. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. But you know what I mean? You're being here and you're participating, meaning you're paying attention, you're interested, you're taking something with. That's being a servant. It might look small because it's not a pastor, but it's a big, big impact. So I want to encourage you to find those areas those little tiny things in your life where you're really good at, where you can serve. That's being a servant right there. Very easy. Not hard. Not hard. The servants that are hard are the slaves. The slaves that didn't choose to be in a situation, that didn't choose their job, that are being told what they have to do, how they have to do it, and when they have to do it. Being a slave is hard. Being a servant, because you're a child of God, can come easy because it's a yes. And it's just doing what God has called you to do because you're a child of God. I'm going to leave us with this foundation of who we are, just kind of recapping. We are children of God, protected and loved and cared for. We are women of God, the multipliers in our house, in our lives. We are the wives, the helpmates, the prayer warriors, the protectors, the creators of the house, the gift in our family, the weaker vessel, the precious vase. We are mothers, the first touch point that our children have with the love of God. And we are servants, meaning all that we are has to go somewhere, has to flow out somewhere. If you are so full of goodness and strength and power and all that, it has to go somewhere. Has to have an outpouring. And that's where the servant of God is coming in. You give to your family, you give to your community, you give to your church, whether it's being here or whether it's actively participating in something else. Women are quite amazing. So thank you for coming and for learning about what it means to be a woman of God. And we're going to dive into how to grow even more intentionally and building on that foundation that we just laid.